Welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. I know we normally do webinars on a Monday, so
I know it's throwing me off that today's Tuesday.
I keep thinking today's Monday.
No.
I kept looking at our regular Monday calls, and it was like, well,
Where
we're late for. Oh wait, no, it's Tuesday. So
I know.
it's
We're
been
happy
good.
to be here. Yep.
It's been good. Hope you guys had a great Labor Day. Hope you had a lot of fun out doing something extraordinary. I went to Moab, Utah, and went jeeping.
So pretty. I was in San Diego.
Wow. So, what'd you do there?
The beach.
Okay.
Yep.
I've heard there's a
can't
beach
complain.
there. Yeah. No,
So
that's
nice.
amazing. Hopefully you guys did something great. In fact, we'd love to hear about it. If you go to your GoToWebinar control panel, there should be a section there on the side that says chat or questions. If you'll type in where you're calling in from, what you did for Labor Day, we'd love to hear all about it. We've got Whitney here as well, who's going to help us with those questions and answers and things like that. That's another great way to participate in these webinars.
Definitely.
We don't want these webinars to be only us talking. We don't want us to just have a presentation and you guys get death by PowerPoint. Instead, we want to feel like this is something where you all get to participate, you all get to, ask questions, make comments, things like that. So
we've done lots of webinars, and I feel like the best ones are where there's lots of questions being asked.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a subject matter that we're certainly going to talk about today, which is PowerG and dual SRF. But our hope is that the conversation that we start between you, comments that you've got, the questions you want to ask, things like that, will make that presentation that much better.
Definitely.
So, absolutely. So for those who don't know us, my name is Jeremy McLaren. I'm in charge of marketing here for Qualsys.
I'm Kelsey Wing, marketing and the new dealer relationships.
Yeah. So as you come on to become a dealer for Qualsys, as you need additional support, Kelsey's the one who can take care of that. Kelsey also handles a lot of our video editing and is in front of the camera on some of our technical videos. So it's been a lot of fun. So we've got a lot to cover today. We want to talk specifically about PowerG and dual SRF. Dual SRF is a really cool technology built into every IQ panel too. Before we do that, let's give some shout outs to people who are joining in. Who do we have, Whitney?
We have Jake from Utah.
Jake?
Perfect.
Hey, Jake, welcome. Thanks, buddy. I mentioned to him, he texted me this morning and said, hey, do you want to, could I join the webinar today? And I said, yes, absolutely. So I'm glad you're on. Kalispell. Oh, Garrett, it looks like Ken went to Kalispell for Kalispell, Montana for Labor Day. That's pretty cool.
That is fun.
Never been up there. Montana's an awesome place.
It is.
Really
I was there last 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
It is pretty.
Mark Buckley's in here from our Colorado area. He's one of our technical guys on the Johnson Controls team.
Yep.
Debbie from Ogden. Hey, Debbie, how are you? Good to see you. Hope everything's going well. Good to hear your voice. I actually had a great conversation with Kirk just the other day, and it made me think about you. So the stuff we're talking about today, Debbie, is exactly the stuff you and I have been talking about quite a bit. So I'm glad you're on today. Thanks very much. Mark's in Eagle, Idaho. I didn't know he moved.
That's cool.
Great. Rick from Skyline. Hey, went to several barbecues for Labor Day. Rick, I'm glad you joined today. I want to definitely follow up with you maybe after this call or later on today or tomorrow. So thanks for joining in today. A lot of other people joining in too. We've got a lot of people who aren't chiming in, but hopefully you can figure out that chatting into that little chat function is the way you participate in today's webinar. Also, we're recording it, right?
Yep. So it'll be posted on YouTube and then social media later today.
And they get a follow-up email tomorrow, and you'll make sure that the link for that is in there. So great. Well, let's dive right in. First, I want to talk a little bit about the state of the market. The state of the market is, a lot of times people say, well, what are people offering? And I don't want to talk so much about what people are offering. I want to talk more about what people actually have. And when I say people, I mean end users, customers. Let's talk about customers. If you look at the section over here on the side of the screen that shows the rubber button keypads and things like that, if you think about it, many people, if not most people, have one of these systems. I'm trying to get rid of my question thing and it's getting rid of that instead. So if you think about it, most of the existing customers you have, and whether you're a company that keeps your accounts or you're a company that gets rid of your accounts and sells them to a dealer program like a Guardian, a Vector, ADT, things, things like that. If you're one of those type of companies, regardless of what type of company you've been and how you've sold in the past, the majority of people with security systems have a rubber button keypad. Now, in the past, 5 years it's been, we've seen some of those small touch screens cropping up, and in the past couple of years, there have been some of the larger 7-inch touch screens cropping up. But that still leaves thousands and thousands, if not millions, of customers that already have a rubber button keypad on their wall. Now, many of them have it active and they're still using it. Maybe they even use a landline, which is atrocious, but they're using a landline to communicate with that thing. It's not awful, but it is definitely not modern, and it's not the way we're doing things today, and it's certainly not the easiest or most cost effective. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if many of the people that are out there that have a rubber button keypad through a landline only maintain the landline
because of that.
Because of the alarm system.
Well, and people, I think, that have gotten rid of landlines might not notice that their system doesn't work anymore, right?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few of those too. They're saying, well, like, I'm just assuming my security system works because I arm it and disarm it. But how often are they, checking, sending signals to the central station, setting the alarm off, and having the authorities come, things like that. And there's some people who have landlines that their landlines were converted from a traditional landline into a voice over IP landline through a provider like Cox or Comcast or something like that. And those landlines, while they can and sometimes do work, they're not always reliable either. And the reason is data doesn't understand what voice and data is more important. So if you're streaming Netflix or you're making a phone call, it doesn't know which one's more important. It doesn't say, oh, well, this is a security signal call, and therefore I'm going to route it with priority. It doesn't understand that. So your Comcast is basically going to say, here's all data, push it up to the cloud and put it where it's supposed to go. So it's pretty important that your end users, your customers that you're talking to, understand that, okay? As they understand what they have today, and you guys can talk to them. That's, again, this is a sales and marketing webinar. The goal is to give you tips on things that will help you sell and market more effectively. One of the things you can do with your customer is ask them some simple questions like, your existing system, is it still operating? Is it going through a landline? Do you only maintain that landline because of the security system? How much money would you save per month if you got rid of that landline and no longer used it?
I think people would be so excited if they realized they could get rid of the landline. Yep.
I mean, I don't know about prices these days. I know a lot of people have bundles, but it ranges anywhere between, $5 to $30 per month. That's real cost savings. And in some cases, that could offset the cost that you're going to charge enough that they would say, boy, this is just a wash. It's definitely worth it to get this new technology. So, there's a lot of rubber button keypads out there. There's a lot of landlines. There's still a lot of signals out there that are being sent over 3G cellular.
Yeah.
We all know about the 3G cellular sunset coming up. I've already heard, in fact, I heard just the other day, AT&T sold an entire city to T-Mobile.
Really?
Every single, I was at an event last week, and I was talking to a dealer. He said, every single one of my customers, it was about 300 to 500 customers in that city, stopped working overnight. They sold the entire network. AT&T said, we don't want this network anymore. Sell the entire thing to T-Mobile. And overnight, they lost all their signals, and all the customers are calling the dealer saying, what do I do? What do I do? And the dealer's going,
that's the thing. Oh my gosh, stressful.
Yeah, so from a dealer perspective, if I'm a dealer that has accounts that I'm maintaining, that I'm administering to and things like that, I would be semi-terrified of the 3G sunset, thinking, what am I going to do? And I know a lot of dealers right now are faced with a decision. Do I sell my company and get rid of all those 3G accounts, or do I offer them some kind of upgrade?
Well, I remember working for a dealer, and that was one of our biggest projects.
Oh yeah, from the 2G to 3G.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, that's all we took.
Yeah.
Those calls all day.
Well, if you don't have a plan right now, if you're not working to actively upgrade those 3G customers to an LTE system, you're every day you don't do it is a day you're behind. Let alone what people are going to be poaching from you and trying to, a door knocker will come in and say, knock, knock, knock. Hey, your system's could stop working in a day now. Let me get you a new system. There's going to be a lot of that. I'm sure the door knockers all summer long have been taking advantage of that. But just think about the logistics of, if I have, let's call it 100 customers. If I have 100 customers on 3G that need to go to LTE, and I only have, let's call it 10 months to do it in, that's 10 installs a month. Are you doing 10 of those installs per month? If not, next month, you actually have to do 12 installs instead of 10. So every month you put off that project is a month that it's adding to it. So the third thing here is no encryption. A lot of these systems out there don't have any level of encryption. In fact, Parks Associates did a study a few months back about encryption, and one of the things they found is that 63% or 62%, I think, of all end users believe that their sensors and their system are encrypted when it actually is not.
We were at my cabin a couple weeks ago, and all the guys started talking about, technical things, and encryption got brought up because my husband's an IT major. And so then I was like, oh, well, let me tell you about encryption and security. So that was kind of fun. We had a discussion about that. A lot of them grew up with security systems, and again, didn't know that it wasn't encrypted.
Well, it's logical to assume that if you are paying for a service, that service would be up to date with the current stuff. If you're paying for virus protection, you expect that those updates are going to come and keep your system clean. So a lot of end users assume that, and they think, well, I haven't heard from my dealer. He hasn't called me, talked to me, anything like that, so I must be up to date. I must be just fine. Well, I bought it 6 months ago or a year ago. It's got to be only a year old, so it must be at least up to date as of a year ago. But they don't realize that a lot of the technology that was used even a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, was technology that was the same technology for 20 years and is potentially vulnerable. And again, we're going to go into depth on encryption and replay attacks and things like that here in a moment.
Perfect.
So any questions or comments, Whitney, about state of the market or things like that? Okay, let's keep going. So now let's look at the other side of things. This is the tech industry. So we've got the security industry, and that's kind of the state of the market. Regardless of what you as a dealer are offering today, we know that most customers that you're approaching have this older setup. Now let's look at what the tech industry is offering. The tech industry is smartphones, is wearables, Amazon, Echo and Alexa and Google Home and all these, voice Siri and all these voice control things. Look at the trend line there. When you look at that trend line, we are really high up on that trend line. We're in the middle of the Internet of Things boom right now. Everything's becoming connected. You can't go anywhere. Look at any retail store you walk into. Look at any website you're going to. It seems like home control, home automation, that kind of stuff is just on the tremendous rise. And people are buying inferior solutions because they don't know any better, okay? And they're buying everything connected. They want everything connected. They want everything to have an app, stuff like that. Now, when you compare what the tech industry offers and what the security industry has already installed in customers' home, there's a really big gap there, right? Qualsys is designed, especially the IQ Panel 2 that we're talking about today, is designed to help you bridge that gap. And you, Mr. Dealer, on the phone today, you're the one who gets to bridge that gap. You're the one who gets to walk into a customer's home and say, don't worry about your old rubber button keypad. Don't worry about your unencrypted legacy wireless sensors. Don't worry about your landline service or your 2G or 3G cellular service. Don't worry about your rubber number pad. I can take it and turn it into something great. Okay, and I think that's the real key. It is really exciting. So as a dealer, if I can go in and know that I can A, save you money, and B, still bridge the gap so you don't have to redo everything. I mean, let's be honest. Even if it was a 10-year-old system, they invested money in that system. They have value in that system. They like the way it's set up. They like the way it's located. Maybe they like the way it looks.
The sensors that are there, chances are you're going to replace the exact same sensors.
Yeah,
right?
So why, let's make sure that as we're doing it the right way. So you can bridge the gap between all of this older technology over into the newer stuff, which allows you to do, a 7-inch touchscreen. You can do cameras. You can do PowerG, LTE, Z-Wave Plus. You're really allowing these products here are going to allow you to bridge the gap between the past and the future, allowing you to get more production from what you're looking for. So let's start with the logistics of how this works. So it starts with a tablet, okay? Everyone sees this little Qualcomm Snapdragon, the green board on the side of the panel here. You can see how thin that is, right? Really thin. We basically started with a tablet and said, hey, you know what? A tablet's got cool stuff on it. It's got 4G, LTE, it's got Wi-Fi, it's got Bluetooth, it's got a panel access point, you've got the Android operating system, all that's built into any tablet. So we then took that tablet and said, we need to add extra things to make it security. The first one being a security radio. This SRF radio, it's the one right here on the bottom, on the back of the panel, okay? That SRF radio will be, if you're buying the IQ Panel 2, it will be a 319.5 radio that works with the S-Line encrypted devices. It will also work backwards compatibility with GE Interlogics and other 319 devices. Now, if you decide to buy an IQ Panel 2 Plus, you could get that in that same 319 radio, but you could also get it with a DSC radio instead. So instead of this radio working with Qualsys sensors or with Interlogic sensors, it would instead work with the DSC sensors. So you could walk into a home and say, oh, you've already got a DSC system, already got a DSC rubber button keypad, some wireless sensors, maybe you got some smoke detectors, things like that. Don't worry, I can take it over. I will make all your existing sensors work, and we'll put in a new panel. You'll have a new beautiful touchscreen that it'll interact with. And the same thing for a 2 gig or Honeywell system using 345 megahertz. That, again, this which is in the box like this, right?
Can you hold it?
Yeah.
Lost John. Can you hear us now?
Hopefully you can hear us. We're good. Okay, cool. So whether you're choosing the IQ Panel 2 or the IQ Panel 2 Plus, that Z-Wave Plus radio is included in there. So you can now control lights, locks, thermostats, garage openers, you name it.
Automation's really cool.
Automation's really cool, and it's a really big trend, and it's a nice, easy way to get into the home too. So when you're talking about, hey, I can automate your lights, I can, get you a lock that you don't have to worry about using keys anymore. Really helps people step up into the next generation and gives them something they can use every day. Security is nice, and I hope that people are arming their security systems every day, but let's be honest, a lot of people are going to use their lights more than they're going to use their security system. They're going to use their front door lock more than they're going to use a security system. So offering something that can do all of the above makes you the hero. So then in here is PowerG. Now the PowerG radio, I'll show it to you right here. Okay, that's PowerG. The PowerG radio is not in the IQ Panel 2, but it is, so not in this one, but you can get it in the IQ Panel 2 Plus, okay? And that radio, because that's also working for PowerG devices, all those encrypted wireless devices, again, talking security, life safety devices, things like that. Now you're using any PowerG sensor, so hold that.
Okay.
So here's a PowerG sensor here, okay? I can open and close this door. Oh, I'm on the wrong side.
PowerG sensor open.
Okay. I could also use my S-line sensor.
S-line sensor open.
Same thing, no translator needed. It's all within the same one. So again, imagine you're walking into that customer's home and you're saying, let me do an assessment of what you've got. Oh, it looks like you've got an old DSC system. Immediately, you know that you're thinking about the red box, okay? You've got an old DSC panel. Okay, if I replace that panel, it looks like you've got some DSC wireless sensors here, a DSC wireless smoke detector, a DSC wireless carbon monoxide detector. Normally, you could only replace the sensors with other sensors. If you did use a translator, which was costly between $40 and $80, depending on your price at distribution, you would have to install that, and then that would be translating through, but you couldn't use smokes and carbons for those. Now, because the device, the radio is directly inside the panel, any smokes, carbons, things like that, you could use directly with the panel. So now you're talking about reusing all those. Again, we'll talk about that more in a moment. But you can use all those sensors, and now you're saying, okay, well, in addition to be able to reuse your existing system, I'm also going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to give you Bluetooth disarming. I'm going to give you the panel camera with disarm photos. I'm going to give you a live view from your video doorbell on the panel screen, live answer from your video cameras, things like that. So the ability to see all of that and do all that in a newer system really helps the customer feel like they're getting a really, really nice upgrade. And it really gives them a reason to be willing to spend a few dollars more and renew a contract with you, right?
Yeah, I think people are going to be excited.
I hope so. I really hope so. Questions, Whitney?
Yeah, we have one.
Okay.
Will we be able to get the dual SRF daughter card?
Really good question. So the question is, can I buy the dual SRF daughter card? So could I, instead of buying a brand new panel, could I buy instead just this card and install it in a panel, things like that? The answer is no, not currently. We're not planning on doing that. The plan is that you would, for a new install, you would want to just go and buy whichever panel is right for you. And we did that primarily to make it easier for you. What we didn't want is for you to have to be fumbling with little cards and doing all sorts of stuff. If you could just literally say, oh, they need the yellow box, they need the red box, or the gray box, your technician doesn't have to crack the back of the panel open. He doesn't have to unscrew daughter cards and plug them in, doesn't have to worry about antennas. Literally everything's ready to go right outside the box and makes for a much faster, much cleaner install. So very good question. Thank you for that.
We have another one from Rick.
Okay.
Does our Z-Wave Plus takeover current Z-Wave sensor? Does Z-Wave Plus take over current Z-Wave sensors?
Really good question, Rick. So you walk into a home that has an existing network. Maybe it's got some Honeywell 2 gig sensors in it, but it also has a door lock. Maybe it was an old system sold by a Vivint salesperson years ago, and they're ready for an upgrade. Okay, they've got maybe a quick set door lock on the front door, and you want to be able to say, well, I'll tell you what, I'll reuse the door lock and that light bulb that you have. The Z-Wave Plus radio does indeed work with any older Z-Wave technology, non-Z-Wave Plus. So Z-Wave Plus has backwards compatibility for standard Z-Wave, and because of the nature of Z-Wave Plus, we could push out firmware upgrades. So as the next generation of Z-Wave comes out, we can actually put that through an over-the-air update onto the firmware of this card and continue to upgrade the Z-Wave card for even the the devices that are coming in the future too. That's what when we say bridging the gap between the past and the future, it's not the past and the present, it's the past and the future. There are other devices coming out, there's other technologies coming out, and this will still work for those devices that haven't yet been released.
And if you are wondering, we do have a list of compatible Z-Wave devices on the website.
Absolutely. You can go to our dealer portal, go down to, I believe it's the very bottom, and there's a link in there. There's also under technical documentation on the, or technical downloads, excuse me, on the dealer portal. There's a couple PDFs on there that you can look at, and we try and keep those updated. So really good question, Rick. Thanks for asking. Any other questions, Whit?
Yeah. Will resolution hardware takeover module work with the system?
Great question. So the resolution hardware takeover module, they used to have devices where you'd have to buy kind of the same way. You'd have to buy a 345 or a 433 or a 319 module. Now resolution in the past few years has gotten really smart and said, we're going to get a switch. And you simply flip the switch and it changes to be that frequency. Because that's a wireless frequency, if you wanted to use that, then you absolutely could use that. It's more cost. You know, I think when you look at the incremental cost between an IQ Panel 2 and an IQ Panel 2 Plus, it's a lot less than the cost of a translator. But if for some reason maybe you had an IQ Panel 2 already and you needed to be able to use some other sensors with it, like a 345 sensor or a 433 sensor, you could use one of those devices from a translating standpoint to do what you needed to do. So great question there. Other questions, Whit? All right, let's keep on going. So inside the panel here is really almost a wireless rock concert. You've got LTE, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got Bluetooth, you've got a panel access point, you've got PowerG, you've got S-Line, you've got Z-Wave Plus, you've got 7 different wireless radios just within this one small panel, within that one small form factor. And that's kind of an engineering feat. If you look at what's out there, you look at the other panels out there, they're thick, they're big, and a lot of that, if you crack it open and look at it, the boards are small. It's because they need space for their antennas.
Oh, yeah.
It's just to prevent interference and things like that, and they don't even have half the antennas we have. So having all that technology allows you to do all the things that that technology can do. LTE and Wi-Fi for communication, Bluetooth for touchless disarming, and for, in the future, connecting to wireless speakers. The panel access point for helping you with trouble or tricky devices, like a video doorbell that's maybe closer to the panel than it is to the panel router. You know, things like that. PowerG, and we're going to talk about PowerG today and how awesome it is for great sensor range and powerful encryption. S-Line, which we've had ever since we released IQ Panel 2 Plus, or sorry, IQ Panel 2, for great encrypted sensors that are affordable and still have good range. And then Z-Wave Plus for all your lifestyle devices. So all these things working together is a pretty powerful solution. So let's talk for a second about dual SRF. We want to show you a quick video. And as we do this,
we're gonna turn off our
let's turn off the camera here so this plays a little better. We've had some complaints about how it's perhaps doesn't play as well. All right, here we go. You know, it's really a shame that we had to turn the camera off for that because you were dancing.
I like the music.
Yeah, well, you were definitely dancing. So, so dual SRF, the concept here is that no matter what panel they have, they're eligible for an upgrade to the IQ Panel 2 Plus, right? And this is actually a really nice thing. Maybe you want to put it on your website. Maybe you want to do it on social media. Maybe you want to create a sales slick for your teams. In fact, I think we even have one like that.
Yeah, we've updated it.
If you want to have that on your tablet or printed out, you know, as part of your sales presentation, you could say, well, which panel do you have? Oh, you've got this one? Yeah, we could take it over, you know, so it's a really nice approach. When you talk about addressing that install base, a lot of times people are asking, well, what about encryption? Should I encrypt it or should I not encrypt it? And really, it's up to you and it's up to the consumer. They need to make that decision. They're the ones who are buying those sensors. They're the ones who are doing it. But know also that you are the consultant. you're the one who's basically giving me the advice on that. Legacy life safety, for example, maybe it's a smoke detector, a flood detector. Is there a risk that someone could potentially hack into that frequency and do a replay attack on it? Yes. Unlikely, since they go off less, which means that there's a less of an opportunity to record that signal. But at the same time, if someone really wants an encrypted device like that, then maybe you should, put a PowerG device in there instead and replace that. If they say, you know what, I paid a lot for my smoke detectors, I don't want to replace them again, then you could say, don't worry, we can talk to them again with the right panel, and we'll make sure that you can reuse those devices again, okay? Now, from an intrusion standpoint, it is pretty important to encrypt things. I think it's actually smart to make sure that we are keeping our stuff as protected as possible. We're going to talk a little bit about replay attacks here in just a moment. In fact, why don't we just talk about that right now? Let's talk about replay attacks. A replay attack is basically when an unencrypted wireless device is broadcasting out into the world. That's how it works. So this sensor is encrypted, okay? But let's pretend for a moment that it's not an encrypted sensor. If this broadcasts out into the world, it's not like it's a single pathway where it only sends it to you because you're the panel.
So
it's sending it
floating
out everywhere. And if you happen to have a software-defined radio, like you see on the screen here, software-defined radio in range of that sensor, it's also going to pick that up. It would be similar to, like, we almost call it eavesdropping, okay? Here's this little radio eavesdropping on the door open signal, and because it heard what you said at the same time, now it can go and copy, okay? Imagine someone recording your conversation and then playing it back later on and pretending they're you. It's the same concept here. You take this unencrypted wireless device, it's broadcasting out in the world, and when this software-defined radio can hear it, it will literally turn around and can replay that at any given point. Now, what's the danger there of a replay attack?
Well, we talked about the $10 device that can be purchased. So someone could be recording those and then could play it back, and your panel wouldn't know the difference.
What is that? When you say play it back, why would they play it back? What's the purpose of that?
So it could be saying a door open signal. So we always give the example of if you're at home sleeping, your panel's armed, they play that signal, your system's going to go off because it has a door open. But
it doesn't know that it's actually not your actual door. It's just being replayed from that device, right?
Right. So then it could be that you don't arm your system again that night.
Yeah, I mean, think about the habit there.
Yeah.
I wake up, my eyes are all fuzzy. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? My alarm's going off. I walk over to my panel, boop, 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 disarm it, or I'm talking to the central station, maybe over the two-way voice. What's going on? Yeah, it says the door's open. And I'm looking, and door looks closed to me. Maybe it was the wind, maybe it blew it, I don't know, but I'm gonna go back to bed. I arm it again, I'm gonna go back to bed.
Play it again.
They play it again. Oh, this thing's going off again. I don't know what's going on with this, but I'm not gonna arm it again, I'm gonna go to bed. And now that it's not armed.
Think you're gonna call in the morning.
Yeah.
Someone could get in your house.
Now when they come in the house, the alarm's not gonna go off.
Yeah.
So now the key fob is where it's really dangerous with a replay attack, right?
Because again, if you lose your keys, the key fob's on there.
Well, if you've got a key fob that's sending that wireless device of disarm system, and they replay that,
they can get right in.
They walk right in, and it's after you left for work, and they're cleaning you out. You don't even know until you got home.
You have no idea. Yeah.
I mean, now if you were smart and you set up a rule that says every time system's disarmed, send me a text message, you're going to get a text message as you're driving to work. System disarmed. What's that? But again, when you think about the legacy systems that most people have, most of them don't have an interactive system. It's through a landline. It's not going to give them that kind of technology. So knowing that, having that is, we think, going to be very, very important and very, very good for you.
Definitely.
So again, a replay attack is where a software-defined radio can copy the signals sent by an unencrypted wireless device and replay it at the hacker's will, potentially putting you vulnerable to things. Yeah. Hacking in the news. We've seen a lot of these. If you've been on our webinars before, you've seen some of these things before. If you Google security system hack, you're going to see a lot of things. You know, from that Parks Associate study we said, or we talked about earlier, what is assumed to be secure today is often not, as hackers find new weaknesses and develop tools to exploit them. Hackers are working constantly. And if you're not updating your technology, if you're not offering the latest and greatest technology to combat that, it's going to put you in a pinch where your customers are now looking at you and saying, hey, how come you didn't give me the right stuff, right? Now, it's not common. The good news is most of these hacks are not done by actual intruders. They're done by analysts. They're done by people who are being paid to do this. But it is still real, and it is still growing. So Whitney, before we move on, any questions or comments about hacking or replay attacks or things like that that you haven't already answered? Okay, let's dive in. So we're putting security back into security. So we've got Android SE, we've got a built-in firewall, we've got cloud token authentication, we're using a secure connection to alarm.com, we're using encrypted sensors with PowerG and S-Line, we're using visual verification through the built-in panel camera, we've got lifestyle device encryption through Z-Wave Plus, and Bluetooth disarming, which is more secure than a key fob, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of great things we're doing in there. But let's just talk about the non-security things.
Okay.
What about range? From a range standpoint, what if range were never an issue? What if you never had to worry about your sensors not working because they could not get to the panel? Okay, PowerG can give that for you.
I was gonna say, we get lots of calls where people are saying, I'm doing an install in this house, are your sensors gonna work?
Yep.
So they've been excited when they learn that range is an issue with it.
And because houses are different, most of the time for a small to medium-sized residential or small business location, an S-Line sensor works fantastically. But there are those situations where I've got something further out.
Yep.
Maybe I've got a larger home. Maybe my home is made of cinder blocks and cement and rebar and things like that. Range can potentially be a problem. So having something that broadcasts 4 times the range of that means that when you have that problem, you don't have to worry about it. You just simply add a PowerG sensor to that particular setup and you're good to go. I believe I've got a quick video here about PowerG. Okay. Let's turn that camera off. All right, here we go. I don't think Kelsey liked that music as much.
No, I did.
You were not dancing.
That one's actually one of my favorites.
You did the last song you danced.
I was tapping my foot.
That's what that thumping sound was? Okay. All right, fair enough. PowerG technology. Yep. I want to show you this quick little video in a moment, but before I do that, this is actually us at ESX last year testing PowerG, and it's a pretty fun video, so we'll see this. But let's talk about the highlights of PowerG. Okay. From a look and feel standpoint, I really like
that sensor.
Why?
It's so thin. And we have it here on our marketing window, and you don't notice it.
Yeah, it really does a good job blending.
Yeah, it does.
It does a really good job blending. It's a really beautiful sensor. Now, this is just one of many sensors, and we're going to show you the whole portfolio in a minute if you're not familiar with it. PowerG's got a lot of devices. It's been in market for a long time. It's made originally by a company called Visonic, based in Israel. Okay. Visonic actually came from, all the engineers and things were actually developing things originally for the Israeli military. So it came from a technology needing to use for the military purposes, and then they said, well, how can we miniaturize it? How can we turn it into something that could be used for commercial? And it's actually used in some of the largest and best commercial buildings all across the world.
That's cool.
In fact, I forget the name of the ship, USS Midway, I believe it is an aircraft carrier that's actually been turned into a museum.
I was going to say San Diego. I was just telling Stephen, I was like, we go back for Thanksgiving and I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about
it. The
USS
yesterday. Midway is a museum now. They used PowerG sensors on it, wireless sensors on metal, on an aircraft carrier, and a single system was able to cover that whole entire thing.
So I'm going to go and I'm going to take pictures.
I hope you do.
Okay, I will.
Hope you do. Okay. So PowerG is awesome. So we got great range, but it's also got what we call, I call it interference circumvention. So in the event that something does try and get in the way of its range, and a lot of times what happens is other wireless signals will start to interfere and start to play. It's almost like us talking at the same time, and it's like, well, if Whitney's trying to listen to us or you guys are trying to listen to us, if we're both talking at the same time, it's kind of hard to like, who's talking and what am I supposed to listen to? Now, obviously, they're going to want to listen to you because you're prettier and you talk to them all the time, and I rarely talk to them. But In that case, PowerG doesn't have to choose. All it simply does is it changes lanes. You saw in that little video the way the car was just driving around. Interference came in the way, it just changed lanes. PowerG has 50 different channels to choose from, and it will change to automatically you go on the channel that doesn't have any interference.
And how many times is it changing?
Well, it depends.
It depends.
So I've been told 64 times a second. I can't imagine that this device is going to last for 5 to 8 years if it's actually scanning network 64 times a second. But I believe what it will do, and Mark Buckley and others who are on the line who understand this better, you please clarify for us. I believe the way it works is if it receives interference and it knows that it's getting blocked, then it will automatically change. But I would love to hear the official answer as to how that works. And maybe that's part of the secret sauce. Maybe that's part of the secret sauce that they don't share. I do know, however, that one of the reasons we don't have it included in our tool that we have that shows you the range of things is because it doesn't need to be included on there. Not only is the range so far that you're never going to have it, but anytime interference comes in way, it just automatically switches channels.
Perfect.
So it's almost like a radio station. Think about, you get to your favorite radio station, you hear some static or another channel, station's kind of overlapping it, that instead of it having to deal with that, it would just automatically change and become clear again.
Okay,
so
cool.
Pretty awesome.
They say it's 64 times per second only when jammed.
Oh,
there you go.
Perfect. Okay.
So when it's been jammed, when it's having a problem, it will then change lanes and go to a different frequency, up to 64 times a second. So pretty awesome.
Okay. This video's cool.
Yeah. The other thing that I like about PowerG is the two-way communication. So because it's got two-way communication, this we'll give you an example of the S-line sensor. S-line sensors are good. They're really nice. This little sensor will send a signal that says, I'm open, okay? But it sends it, if the door was, well, use the example here. The S-line sensor that's on this door is what, 2 feet away? There's hardly any distance here. It doesn't need to broadcast as loud as it possibly can, but it does because it has no idea where it's been installed. For all this little S-line sensor knows, it's installed way on the other side of the building. So it's going to scream no matter what, okay? Whereas the PowerG sensor says, hey, I know that I'm close. I know I'm really close, and therefore I only need to whisper.
Is that going to say battery life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So if I've got a sensor that would normally last only 5 years, now that maybe that sensor is lasting 8 years.
Because it's closer to the panel.
Yeah. I like to use the amphitheater analogy for this.
College.
Yeah. So imagine you're in college. Kelsey, who's one of the smart good girls, sits up in the very front. So when she has a question for the professor,
I don't have to talk as loudly.
No.
He's right there.
But because Whitney's a bad girl and she's always arriving late to class, she's up in the very, very back. And when she has a question, she has to yell it. Okay? So whose voice is going to last longer, Whitney's or Kelsey's?
Mine.
Yeah, of course. Okay? Because you only had to whisper. It's the same thing here. The battery in this little PowerG sensor is going to last a lot longer because it knows that it's close. Now, in the event that it is super far away, it can use more strength, more signal to make sure it gets there every time. But it knows how far it is.
Perfect.
So really cool stuff. And two-way communication is extending more to not just about for battery life and signal strength, but it's also used for sensor adjustments. Okay. If you had a motion sensor, for example, that was not pet sensitive, but you wanted to set it to be pet sensitive, you could log into alarm.com and say, adjust it, just like you saw in the video, and it will automatically adjust. And you don't have to roll a truck. So some really nice benefits there as well. So any questions on PowerG technology, Whit, that you haven't already answered? Or that are good to share with the group?
No.
Okay, I want to show you guys this video. Nothing about PowerG. Okay, let's
turn off the
turn off the camera. I want to show you this little video. This is us at ESX.
Time to go up the sidewalk.
You can see there's the panel on the table.
Are you? Were you volunteering to go out there?
We're zooming in. That's Ernest Bernard, one of our sales guys. We've got him on the street corner, quarter of a mile away.
Stand in the middle of the street. Look at that. Okay, go. Hey, you see that fountain across the street? Go to the fountain. Don't get hit by a car.
You can see how far away we are. It's huge. And I don't know how well this video is playing. But you can see we're zooming in. It's a parking lot out by that red building. Ernest is literally wandering around in the parking lot, opening and closing a sensor for us.
Holy crap, it's nowhere near the fountain. Tell them just go up the sidewalk now. Now go up the sidewalk towards the Hilton. Well, not towards the Hilton. The red building. Start walking away.
So you can see he's all over the place, okay? He's way, way far away, and still this sensor's working. It's pretty awesome. So when it comes to sensor technology, we like to think of it as a good, better, best. It's good to have a security system. Those old legacy systems that are in there, that's better than nothing, okay?
Right.
So whether it's Interlogix or Honeywell or 2GIG or DSC, it's good to have a security system. It's better to have encryption. And these S-line sensors have a layer of encryption on top of the 319.5 protocol. The best is PowerG. Military grade, two-way encryption, 4 times the range over legacy, automatically adjusting for interference, and two-way communication that allows you to, save battery life as well as make remote adjustability. So really, really great. And you've got all these choices, okay? If you buy this panel here in the gold box, you've got good Honeywell or the Interlogix sensors, and better because the S-line encryption works, and best because this has a PowerG radio in it. If you've got the red box, you've got a DSC radio in it, so you've got good covered, and you can take care of those good sensors, and you can add the best, so you can add more PowerG sensors to the home if you wanted to.
Yep.
If you've got the silver box, you've got good, meaning Honeywell and 2GIG sensors. Those are good to have those. You can take those over, and then you can add the best for maybe you want to add a sensor to the front door, you want to add a motion sensor to the main living area, things like that. You can add the best level of encryption to this and not have to worry about a translator, not have to worry about a lot of extra work. So really, really powerful.
Yeah.
From an ecosystem standpoint, think of how much ecosystem you've now opened yourself up to. You've got all the Qualsys S-line sensors. You've got all the PowerG sensors. There are literally tons and tons. And this is only representing the ones that are directly brand new. These are the new sensors you can install. There's a whole nother bucket of things this is the devices that are already installed in the homes with 345 or 433 megahertz that could be taken over and continue to use. You were going to say something.
Yes, I was going to say, we have a lot of people calling in asking about sensors, and they're wondering if on the left-hand side, can they use the S-line sensors with these two panels?
Good question.
So
and the answer is
the answer is yes.
No.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm sorry. Yes, the answer is no.
Yeah. If you want to use the Qualsys S-line encrypted sensors, you have to get the gold box. Okay.
Because
otherwise,
of the frequency.
Yeah, because the frequency of 319 megahertz is the only one that the Qualsys S-line works on. And the Qualsys S-line radio in here that's backwards compatible for Interlogix is on 319, but has a layer of encryption that only the IQ panel can do. If you were to take a Qualsys S-line sensor and put it on an Interlogix panel, for example, it would still work, but it would only work as a good sensor without encryption, okay? If you want the full encryption on it, you would need to make sure that you're using a Qualsys S-line panel.
But PowerG, all three.
PowerG is in all three. So if you want that amazing technology that we were just talking about, any of the three boxes will work. And from a sales standpoint, if you go to distribution today, I believe you can find this panel on the shelves today, and these are shipping very, very soon. And we haven't made the official announcement yet, but these are shipping very, very soon. So you can buy this one right here today, which means you could be taking over old existing Interlogix sensors, old Qualsys IQ panel Gen 1 systems, which I know there's a lot of those out there as well, and then also add in all the PowerG. In fact, another thing you could do, if you happen to have a customer, maybe it was a commercial customer that had a PowerG system, you could put one of these panels in there, take over the existing PowerG sensors, and then add new PowerG sensors as needed. So again, a lot of great opportunities for you to take that existing legacy base and upgrade them and bridge them over to the future. Okay. That's all we had to share today. I did want to put a poll up. Where's my mouse? I can't see my mouse. Whitney, will you start the poll? I think the poll, it was either the second one or the third one. Yeah, do the second one first. What is the most appealing part of PowerG technology? So we want to know what is the most appealing part of PowerG technology? Is that working, Whit? I can click it here if that helps.
No, it went.
Okay.
Oh, watchful. Sorry.
Okay, there we go. What's this poll the wrong way. So we said choose all to apply, and so they're trying to choose all of them, and instead they're just choosing the very first, the front one. So I apologize for that poll, guys. Let's go ahead and cancel that poll, Whit, and let's do the next poll. So sorry about that, guys. There was a little technical glitch there. We didn't mean to do that. We want to know if you feel fully trained on Qualys' products. Yes, you do. No, you need some sales training. No, you need technical training. Or maybe you're still evaluating Qualys, but you're going to let us know. This helps us because Kelsey, on our last webinar 2 weeks ago, we took the people that said that they wanted some more sales training or technical training, and we gave them early access to something that no one else has seen before.
Yeah, which is good. We've had great feedback. People are excited.
Okay.
Are we announcing what it is?
As soon as we're done with this poll, we're going to announce it. And we're going to give all of you early access to it as well, if you choose to have it. Let's see, look at this poll. Looks like, oh, there's some decent people who want training. And there's still some people evaluating. Well, hopefully this evaluation, hopefully the webinar today will help you in your evaluation process to make a decision to go with Qualys' products, and that this is something that's going to work for you and your business. Let's go ahead and close that poll, Whitney, and let's show them. Kelsey, let's show them what we have to show them.
Okay. Oh, maybe.
Are we still showing my screen?
I don't know.
Yeah, we see you guys and we see the training center.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
So, Kelsey, what is this?
So this is our LMS, or learning management.
Learning management system.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to maximize.
So we've literally put all of our sales and training videos together and created one giant training.
One giant online training. So if I click courses, you got your choice between sales training and technical training.
Yep.
You go into sales training, you've got courses all the way through, 18 different courses, how security systems work, overview of devices, looks matter, Bluetooth, dual path, encryption, all the above, even voice control training. So there's a course for everything in here. These are great little training sessions. Some of them are as short as 30 to 60-second videos. Others are as long as 20 minutes. But then there's a quiz after each one. This is a great way for you to get sales training. It's a great way to pass this along to your sales teams to get training. And we would love to get your feedback on it. So what we want you to do, and the same thing for technical training actually as well.
Yeah.
You go to technical training, we've got introduction, support, overview, hardware, software, installing devices, try to train your customer, all the above. What we want is we want you to have early access to this, okay? So this is learn.qualsys.com, okay? That's the website for it. So I'm gonna type that into, Whitney, will you type that in? And then send to all. Learn.qualsys.com. This is the LMS, or the learning management system for the Qualsys online training. Go on there, and if you already have a dealer portal login, you may be able to use that one. If your dealer portal login doesn't work, you can register for a new one or do a forgot password, and you can get on there. Once you get on there, we want you to fill it all out. Try it out, play with it, go through the courses, take the tests, get the certificate at the end of it, and then we want you to send us an email afterwards. Send us an email at marketing@qualsys.com and tell us, what did you think? What did you think of this? I believe we're getting a survey implemented into this shortly, so you'll be able to take that survey as well. But in exchange for those people that are on the call today, in exchange for taking all the courses and completing the course, and then sending us an email with your feedback, we'll give you a little something.
Yeah.
What do we have? What kind of stuff do we give away to people who are kind to us? T-shirts?
Let's do T-shirts. I love the T-shirts.
We've got some good T-shirts.
Yeah, we do.
And if you don't want a T-shirt, you could have a hat.
Yeah.
But let us know what you want. But go through here, play around with it. Give us your feedback. We'd love to see what you think of it, and would love to get your feedback on it.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Whitney, any other questions that we need to address? All right. Well, guys, it has been a thrill, and we got to end early a little bit today, so you get a little bit.
Perfect.
We plan on doing this for an hour, but we've got a little 10 minutes left, so hopefully you can get back to the rest of your day. Hope this was exciting for you. Hope this is something that's going to help you in your business. Hope this is something that's going to help you with your legacy install base, or with your salespeople approaching new customers and saying, hey, I see you got a legacy system. Let me see what I can do to upgrade it to get you the latest and greatest technology. We've got next week is a technical webinar, and you'll be able to, if you want to join that, or your technicians want to join that, We'll have a chance to ask questions of our technical team. And then the week after that, we've got another sales webinar.
Marketing. And I was going to say 2-hour technical webinar next week.
Is it 2 hours? Yeah, I think they've been doing
two.
about 2 hours.
Perfect.
Yep. And if you need
Cool.
CEU credits or things like that, let our technical team know. Like, we're happy to help you guys with that. But
yeah,
overall, thank you again for joining. We've had a really good time.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Kelsey, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.